What's up, everyone out there in YouTube world, social media world, the world, wherever you're watching this episode from? Welcome to Musings with MGL again. As always, if you like what I have to say, please subscribe to the channel. I hope today is the day that I can earn your subscription with my content. Like, share, comment, spread the word, etc., etc. I really appreciate it. So today's episode, we're going to talk about something that is in the news again today. That seems to be all I do these days is sometimes talk about news stuff. And that is the issue of court packing. And the reason I want to talk about that is most of you know, I specialize in Second Amendment, but I'm also a lawyer. So I like to talk about legal stuff in general, but this does have to do with the Second Amendment, and I'll let you know how that is. I'm sure you can figure it out. But basically what's happening right now is they are trying to pack the Supreme Court. What that means is, just to give you a little novice civics lesson, right now there are 9 Supreme Court justices on the bench. The theory is that 6 of them are conservative, although I would really argue that with some of them, and then 3 of them are not. So the Democrats and Joe Biden and Jerry Nadler and all these other people on the left think that there's an imbalance right now because they're never going to win anything because it's a 6-3 vote. So their proposal is to expand the number of Supreme Court justices that we have. Now, the Constitution is silent as to the number of justices. It doesn't say you have to have 9. Basically, the Congress can vote on how many judges there could be. They can lower it, they can increase it, whatever they want to do. Historically, at this point, it's been 9 since after the Civil War. So I think it was 1968 or somewhere around there, I believe. They expanded it to 9 justices from the 5 that they had before. And you got to have an odd number. I'm sure everybody can figure that out, because if you have an even number, then you have a tie. So you got to have a split. So you got to have an odd number. So it went from 5 to 9, I believe, in 1968, 69, somewhere around there. 1868 or 1869, right after the Civil War. And it's been 9 ever since. So going on, 120 years or 140 years or whatever it is now, 140, I guess. It's been 9. And it stayed 9. That seems to be a good number. Everybody was okay with it. And then all of a sudden now you have theoretically this imbalance with a 6-3 vote. So what they want to do is they want to add 4 justices to the Supreme Court. They want to take it from 9 to 13. We'll do the math on that. So if they can add 4 Supreme Court justices, and theoretically they're all going to be left-leaning because Biden's going to nominate left-leaning ones, and if they've got 50-50 split in the Senate and Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker, then they can get liberal judges. They can just push through liberal judges completely. They don't even have to try if they can get all the Democrats on board. So then they want to put 4 liberal justices on. Well, 4 plus 3 is 7, which would give them, quote, 7 votes, and the conservatives, quote, 6 votes. So it's obvious what's going on here. It's not to try and fix anything or make it fair. It's obviously to shift the balance of power in their favor. This is obviously a scary thing. It's something that would radically change the judiciary in this country. It's already a political body. It's not supposed to be. The judiciary among all 3 of the branches is supposed to be the most impartial, the most unfair, or the most fair, and the most non-political. Now, recently, we've seen that that's not true. It's become very political in the courts, but there's at least still been this concept of being apolitical, and you do still have justices that don't just fall into conservative and liberal spots. You'll see them flop around from side to side on certain decisions, especially on the quote conservative or Republican appointee sides. You'll always find them switch to the Democratic side on certain issues. So even though it can be political, it's still generally seen as like a non-political situation. If you did this, it would clearly be making it a political situation. I mean, you would only be expanding the court and only picking that number because you want to switch the numbers to 7-6, which would solely be for the purpose of political gain. So that's extremely dangerous, obviously, because then you have ruined one of the last remaining institutions in the country that theoretically people have faith in. And, of course, then they can push through whatever agenda they wanted through the Supreme Court just like they can the legislature. So if they wanted to pass, let's say, a gun confiscation law, that would obviously be challenged immediately in court. And if it made it to the Supreme Court, given the current makeup, even though some of them aren't super, super conservative, something like that would still get struck down. You would never get all the Democrats and half the conservative appointees to support something like a gun confiscation or an outright gun ban on like all firearms or national registry or something along those lines. That would never survive the Second Amendment court challenge. But if you had a 7-6 split and they were clearly all left-wing Democrats, like they would want to push through because they would have the numbers in the Senate, then you would 100% see something like that be held constitutional. So if they pull this off, if they can get this done, then we're going to be screwed as gun owners, because right now one of the last bastions that we can do is go to the Supreme Court. We've had some really good rulings come out lately. Obviously, the big ones being Heller, et cetera. One of those DCAs in the middle of the circuit just overruled the ban on bump stocks, and I suspect they would probably do the same thing on the arm brace bans. So right now, I don't like what's happening in the Congress, and I'm scared of what the executive actions they're going to pull. But I still have some faith that the Supreme Court and the lower courts, based on all the appointments over the last 4 years, would uphold the Second Amendment and shoot most of those down. But if they do, in fact, somehow pass a rule to expand it by 4 votes and then just push in the most radical left-wing people that they can get to sit on the bench, then they're going to uphold every unconstitutional law when it comes to firearms that they can uphold. And again, it wouldn't be just firearms, it would be everything, because anything could then be passed, anything could be executive ordered, and they wouldn't worry about a legal challenge because they would have the Supreme Court in their pocket. At least until the next cycle, where, let's say, if Republicans took over again, then they could add people to the court as well, and then you have this rolling thing where every cycle, every election, every Congress is now just adding to the court, and you can end up with 50, 60, 100 people on the Supreme Court, because every time it happens, you'd want to add enough people on your own side to change the balance of power, and it would destroy, again, one of the last somewhat bastions of constitutionalism that we have in America. So keep an eye on this. Follow it closely. I'll be bringing you reports as it goes through the system, but follow it closely, because this could be the nail in the coffin of the country, quite frankly. I hate to speak hyperbolically, but there's no way, if they pass something as sweeping as like a gun ban or a national registry, and that somehow survives constitutional muster, people aren't going to do it. Like, they're just not going to do it, and that will be one of the last straws that essentially turns this cold civil war that I think we're in right now into a hot civil war. Obviously, as always, I'm not calling for that. I'm certainly not hoping for it. But I can't imagine anything that would push something over the ledge faster than stacking the Supreme Court, passing through some massive Second Amendment gun grab, and then having that upheld by crazy liberal justices that were appointed in this mad power grab to pack the court. So court packing, it's very bad. It's very, very bad. It could be the single thing that really finishes tearing this country apart, and it could be very bad for Second Amendment gun owners. So that's your update on that. Keep an eye on it. Follow the news. Follow me. Click the bell for notifications. I'll keep you guys updated as things happen. But as always, until then, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay open, stay vigilant, and as always, carry on.